So as you know, in this country, man, do we have a ton of racial divide. Ton of racial divide in this country. When you look at what's going on with the Black Lives Matter movement, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I know there's a lot of people out there that want to call them, everyone involved with Black Lives Matter, a terrorist organization. You people are fools. Are there radicals in the Black Lives Matter movement? Absolutely. Maybe even some of the organizers of the movement. Maybe they have ill intentions. I don't doubt that for 1 second. Are there some people within the movement that are rioting, stealing, setting things on fire? Absolutely. Not only do I not condone any of that behavior, I think it's disgusting, and I think those people should all go to jail because I think it hurts the actual cause. So what is the actual cause? I talk about this all the time. The actual cause of the Black Lives Matter movement. The movement. I'm not talking about some of those radicals that you don't like. You know, people want to be treated as equals. Minorities want to be treated as equals by police. Yes, I wish they weren't called Black Lives Matter. I wish they were called something else. Minorities, police against, minority. I don't know, whatever the case. I wish they were called something else. But I do believe that the majority of those in the movement are decent people that are not hurting others. They're not throwing water bottles at police. They're not swearing at police. They're not setting things on fire. They're not Marxists. The majority of the people throughout the country, I think, are peaceful, good people, and they just want equality for minorities. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I've been pretty consistent on that, and I've been pretty consistent on the Confederate flag, which the President of the United States seems to defend. President of the United States seems to defend the Confederate flag, and there are people out there that are defending it, and there are people that are upset that NASCAR decided to ban the Confederate flag. I also find that completely disgusting. And then we go on to the subject of the monuments, and I've been very consistent on that as well. And that is, I don't agree with people taking down the monuments themselves because, you go to jail for that. It's not your property. You're not allowed to do that. You go to jail. Those people are stupid. Even if there was a monument of Adolf Hitler, which there never would be, but I'm just saying, even if there was, I wouldn't go out there and I wouldn't put graffiti on it and tear it down because it's against the law. What I do think is that people that are against it, they have a legitimate opinion on it, and I think it should be voted on by politicians from county to county. So those are basically my opinions on race. By the way, you're talking to someone that is not for reparations. I've never been for affirmative action. I don't think you should be treated differently in any situation because of your skin color. I've always felt that way. And I think if we want to be treated as equals in this country, if you're a minority, don't ask for more than somebody who is white. I want you to be treated the same as me. Now, that might be easier said than done, but in a perfect world, that's what I want to happen. I don't want somebody who has a B- average but gets into a really good school because they're black over somebody that has an A average because they're white. I've always been against that. And I know for the dumbbells out there that think I'm a liberal, you find a liberal that feels that way about affirmative action. Go ahead. I dare you. I dare you. That is my take on the racial spectrum that is going on throughout the country right now. Yes, I do believe there is systemic racism. Why? Because I've seen it myself. I've seen black people get pulled over for no reason. I've seen black people and minorities get fouled in stores for no reason. I've seen black people treat minorities different. Now, as a whole, I think police are good people. As a whole, I think law enforcement, good people. As a whole, I think they're heroes. But there are a bad batch of police officers out there that treat minorities different. It needs to be addressed. We need action. And there are people out there that think it doesn't exist. You people are either ignorant or racist or both. I don't know what it is, but it certainly exists out there in society. We just need to come together and come to some middle ground. But I'll tell you what isn't helping us in this country right now. People like Senator Tom Cotton, who I think is an utter disgrace. This is what Tom Cotton had to say. He called slavery a necessary evil. First of all, when you use the term slavery, the word necessary should never be in that sentence. That's what he said. It's pretty outrageous. He said the founding fathers said it was the necessary evil upon which the Union was built. But the Union was built in a way, as Lincoln said, to put slavery on the course to its ultimate extinction. So in essence, what he's saying is that slavery was needed because it served as a purpose, but the plan was to eventually end it. You know how disgusting that is and how offensive that is? That is like me saying right now to the Jewish people of the world, well, you know what? Nazi Germany, it was necessary. It was a necessary evil. Eventually, it was going to end. Eventually, Jews were going to stop getting murdered, but it needed to happen. These are the people that represent us in society, and he should be outed for that. It even gets more outrageous, though. Cotton wants to withhold federal funds from public schools that promote an initiative by the New York Times called the 1619 Project, established back in 2019 to mark the 400th anniversary of African slaves coming to America. The point of the project is to tell the real story of slavery and the contributions of African Americans, something public schools don't do at all. And what is how about the irony? His last name is Cotton, too. Think about that one for a second. Think about what that is, what Tom Cotton represents. He's saying that slavery was a necessary evil. Do you guys believe that? If you're a Republican, do you condone Tom Cotton's ignorant comments? Do you think slavery is a necessary evil? Do you think the Black Lives Matter movement is a Marxist organization and everybody involved in Black Lives Matter is a Marxist? Is that what you truly believe? Again, I am one of those people that is against affirmative action and reparations. I've never been for it. But I also like to think that the majority of the people in this country in the Black Lives Matter movement are good people. What would you say to Tom Cotton? I'll open up the phone lines. What do you think about this guy who says that slavery was a necessary evil? What would you say to Tom Cotton? Number to call, 702-257-5396. Again, if you want to be a part of the program, that number to call is 257-KDWN. What would you say about a congressman who decides to withhold federal funds from public schools that all they want to do is promote an initiative that marks the 400th anniversary of African slaves coming to America? But Tom Cotton doesn't want to support something like that. Oh, no, he'll support gun rights. He'll support the NRA. He'll put all the money in the world into guns. But when it comes to slavery on the 400th anniversary, nope, doesn't want to do it. Doesn't want to do it. Does that make any sense to any of you? Because it certainly doesn't make any sense to me. Cotton says he rejects the notion of systemic racism in America, ingrained in America from the beginning to the present, something that otherwise seems firmly established. The senator has also called the sentiment attributed to him fake news. I said that the founders viewed slavery as a necessary evil, so now he's making excuses for his racism. And I'm so tired of it. I see it on social media all the time. Constantly on social media. I see people attacking the Black Lives Matter movement. Constantly on social media. I see people attacking minorities. Constantly on social media. And why? Why does that happen? I ask that question, why? Why is it that we have so many people in this country that all of a sudden on Fox News and Republicans want to talk about black-on-black crime? Why is that? Because it fits their political narrative. That's why they want to talk about it. Listen, is black-on-black crime in Chicago a big issue? Absolutely. Do I wish there was an end to it? Absolutely. I don't know what the mayor is doing down there. This is a problem that Chicago has faced, and frankly, the country has faced for years, for decades, for a very, very long time. But you do not have any credibility if you talk about black-on-black crime if it fits your political narrative. I'm sorry, folks, you just don't. Zero credibility. But if you watch Fox News and you watch some of that opinionated television after 5 p.m. on Fox News, they don't talk about black-on-black crime, but, you know, when you're talking about the Black Lives Matter movement, now all of a sudden you want to talk about black-on-black crime. How do you respect that? How do you respect that opinion? I certainly don't. Can't we agree that black-on-black crime is an issue? And what the Black Lives Matter movement stands for, at least what many people are doing, protesting throughout the country, is also an issue when it comes to the way law enforcement treats minorities. Can't we agree on that? 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Again, that number, 257-5396. Let's go to McLean. McLean, you're first up on the Vegas Take. What's going on? Uh-oh, did we lose McLean? Uh-oh, we got a dial tone. We lost McLean. You know, it's so funny when I hear these people call in to the producer and they want to go at it with me, and then the second I allow them to go on the air, they decide to be a coward. I find that to be very funny. You know, I see these little comments when people call in, and they want to blast me, and then the second I'm willing to put them on the air, they're too much of a coward to call in. To me, it's just unbelievable. It's ridiculous. Now, you might be saying, Brian, wait a second. You're sounding like a liberal again, sounding like a lefty. Again, let me be very clear on my opinions when it comes to African Americans in this country, when it comes to minorities. I've never been for reparations. I've never been for affirmative action because I believe if you want to be treated as equals, society needs to treat you as equals when it comes to policy. Now, look, if you have an African American and a white student and they both have an A- average and it's a coin flip, I don't have a problem picking the minority. I don't have a problem with that. But there are too many situations in this country where you have somebody who is black who doesn't have the grades that somebody who is white, but yet they're getting into the school and that person white is not. There's something wrong with that. To me, that's the definition of racism. I don't agree with it. There's something wrong with that. I don't agree with reparations. I don't agree with some of the extremists in the Black Lives Matter movement. But I am sick and tired every single day people demonizing those in the Black Lives Matter movement. That the entire group, that the millions of people throughout the country are Marxist. The millions of people throughout the country are terrorists. No, I'll tell you what a terrorist is. Somebody who murders somebody, somebody who cuts off somebody's head. Are there a few criminals out there that have committed horrible, heinous crimes during the Black Lives Matter movement? Absolutely. And I hope they go to jail for the rest of their lives. But that does not represent the entire Black Lives Matter movement. It never has, and it never will. Unless you're Tucker Carlson or Laura Ingraham, the evil racist witch, because she will paint all illegal immigrants out to be horrible human beings. She will paint the Black Lives Matter movement as an entire terrorist organization. She will paint the entire movement as such. Same thing with Tucker Carlson, who said the idea of white supremacy is a hoax. The Black Lives Matter movement is not a hoax. The Black Lives Matter movement is not a terrorist organization. Simple as that. Are there extremists in the organization? Absolutely. And I will call out any of those extremists. But the idea that the entire Black Lives Matter movement is an extremist organization or a terrorist organization is a joke. Again, that number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation, 257-5396. Let's go to Pete. Pete, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, Brian, great show as always.
Thank you.
Listen, man, I see a lot more white people at a Black Lives Matter get-together than I do the blacks, okay? Now, I think you called the name. I think it's the movement.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Listen, I'm not crazy about the name, but I guess I don't like going into the weeds, and I just think it gives people an opportunity to attack the movement. You know, the idea I hear, Pete, from people is, well, wait a second. If it's Black Lives Matter, then why are they not talking about black-on-black crime? Why are they not talking about this? Why are they not talking about this 5-year-old black girl that got shot and killed? Yeah, that's horrible. But the Black Lives Matter movement started after Ferguson, and it started the one topic that they are talking about. They're not talking about every topic when it comes to minorities. They're talking about the way law enforcement treats minorities, and I think that's an important.
And as a whole, Brian, the Black Lives Movement is not a terrorist organization.
Right. So let me ask you a question, Pete, and I agree with you. Why is it that you think that there are so many people on the right that are calling it that, a terrorist organization? Why do you think they say that?
It's the flavor of the day, buddy. It's the wording.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I hate it. Have a good day, buddy.
Thanks, Pete.
Great show as always, man.
Thank you, Pete. I appreciate that. 702-257-5396. Here's what I think. I think that there are some people on the right that just want an excuse to go attack black people. That's what I think. And by the way, it's not just the right. I'm just going to talk about people in general. They want an excuse to attack African Americans. And when they see this Black Lives Matter movement, when they hear and see it for themselves, and the systemic racism comes up, they want an opportunity to attack African Americans and minorities in this country. They want to talk about black-on-black crime. They want to talk about the horrible murders and atrocities. Listen, I see it on my Facebook page all the time. I see people on there talking about horrible crimes that African Americans have committed years ago. And I see the statement that says, why didn't the media cover this, even though it was a story from 10 years ago? They just want an excuse to go after African Americans. And it's wrong. It's wrong. Why is it wrong? because the whole reason why the Black Lives Matter movement is put into place, in my personal opinion, why millions of people across the country have been protesting, it's not because they want to be violent. It's not because they want to light things on fire. It's not because they want to hurt police officers. It's not because they don't care about black-on-black crime. It's not because they don't care about the crime rate and how many African Americans are incarcerated. Doesn't mean they don't care about any of those things. It means this specific situation, when we saw the 8 minutes of George Floyd and we saw, the murder of Ahmaud Arbery in the last few months, the whole reason why they're doing is they want those things to stop. Don't you want that to stop too? Take a couple steps back for a second. Forget that you're a Republican. Forget the fact that you might be a Donald Trump supporter. Forget about the fact that you might have some bias. I'm going to assume you're not a racist for a moment. Take a step back and think for a second. Can't we all agree what happened to George Floyd is wrong? Can't we all agree that there is racism in society? Does that mean everybody's a racist? Absolutely not. Can't we all agree that, yes, systemic racism to a point does exist? So if you can answer that question with some intellectual honesty, and if the answer is yes, which I hope it is because it's the truth, then why do you have a problem with nonviolent people? I'm not talking about Antifa. I'm not talking about some of the extremists in the Black Lives Matter movement. Why do you have a problem with the good people protesting in that movement? Why do you want to call them terrorists? Why do you have such hatred for those people? White people, black people, all sorts of different people in the movement. Why do you have such hatred for them? I don't agree with some of the extremists at all. And it's horrible what I'm seeing, what we're seeing in Portland, Oregon. It's terrible. I want the violence to stop. I think the majority of police officers are good people. But this shouldn't be about politics. It shouldn't be a Republican versus Democrat thing. It just shouldn't. But yet so many people out there in society think it is. I just don't understand it, and it gets me so frustrated. It gets me so angry because we're already so divided in this country. I don't expect people. I'm not here to change people's minds. I'm only here to give you my opinion. And yes, we are divided racially in this country and more divided politically in this country, and I'm 40 years old since I've been alive. And I just don't understand it. I just don't get it, and it's wrong.